At night, my husband's family happily gave gifts to each person. Except for me. My mother-in-law smirked and said, "Oh my God, we must forget my children." My husband laughed at them. I smiled and replied, "It's okay, I don't forget everyone." Their laughter gradually turned off when they opened the gift I was preparing, and realized the hidden truth inside. Let's take a look at the story. Thanksgiving this year, I'm more excited than ever. This is the first year I am officially the daughter-in-law of the Ryan family, and I want to enjoy the warm atmosphere of this holiday. From the early morning, I helped in the kitchen, and my mother-in-law cooked, cleaned, tried to fulfill the responsibilities of a new bride. I would like to prove that I am part of this family, that I appreciate them the way I appreciate my marriage. At night, the whole family gathered at the dining table, and laughter throughout the room. The smell of grilled turkey fragrant with cinnamon and pumpkin cakes, creating an atmosphere of Thanksgiving. I looked at Ryan having fun with his parents and younger sister, feeling warm. Although sometimes there are small problems, I always believe that this will be my family, that I am loved and accepted. Dinner happened smoothly. Everyone ate and told funny stories about previous years. I smiled, feeling that I really belonged to this place. Until the gifts began to be given. Every pretty gift box was passed. Each cheerful sound rang when someone opened the box and discovered a warm, meaningful gift inside. Ryan's sister received a sparkling silver bracelet. My father-in-law is satisfied with the luxurious watch. Even Ryan's aunt has a pretty little gift. I sat right there, waiting for the moment someone would give me a gift box, even if it was a small item. But then all the gifts were completed. I was still sitting there, my hands were free. But when I lifted my head, my mother-in-law was looking at me with a half-hearted smile. She took a sip of wine and then raised her voice softly, as if she remembered something. "Oh, Jane. It seems we forgot the child." The whole table laughed. Their laughter does not seem to be embarrassed or apologetic. On the contrary, it rang as an interest, as if they were enjoying this moment. I turned to Ryan, expecting what he would say to protect me. But no, I am also laughing. Laughing with him. The warmth feeling just now disappeared. Instead was a cold running along the spine. I felt like I was slapped a painful, right in the middle of the family party. But I didn't let them see me weak. I smiled, lifted my glass of wine, touched the glass of my mother-in-law. My voice is gentle but hidden a cold sharpness. "It's okay, Mom. But I don't forget anyone." My mother-in-law raised an eyebrow, seemed to be able to fully understand the meaning of my sentence. But I did not rush to explain. I just took a sip of wine, watched them laugh, and wait for the moment they opened my special gift. I placed a glass of wine on the table, trying to hide my fingers that were tightly clenched to the point of white. The whole dining table is still filled with laughter, as if I was forgotten was just a harmless joke. But I know, this is not accidental. My mother-in-law leaned forward, rested her elbows on the table and laughed softly. Her eyes flashed a ray of mockery that only I could recognize. "Unfortunately, Jane," she said, her voice full of false pity. "But I know this year everyone is so busy, maybe that we have forgotten you." But the way he laughed, as this was just a harmless joke, I was choking. I could not believe that the man I believed could easily stand by them, laugh with them instead of protecting me. I looked around the table. No one seems embarrassed or uneasy. They are enjoying this moment. They want me to feel lost, want me to understand that despite being married to Ryan, I am still an outsider. But I'm not a person who easily let others trample. I relaxed my hand, pretending nothing happened. I smiled faintly, took the plate of pumpkin cake on the table, slowly cut a piece and then brought it to my mouth. In the whole process, I didn't take my eyes off my mother-in-law. "But I don't forget anyone." My mother-in-law raised an eyebrow, but she didn't say anything more. The dinner continued, but the atmosphere of the surroundings had a small change. Although people still laugh, I felt the eyes of my mother-in-law sometimes glided at me. A little precaution, a little uncomfortable. I knew she was wondering about my saying. But I'm not in a hurry. I like to let them be curious, let them wonder what I am cherishing. Just a little longer they will know. I smiled, continued to have a meal, as if nothing had happened. But deep in my heart, I was ready for my response. The sound of a knife touching the plate sounded, mixed with the loud laughter around the dining table. I was still sitting there, calmly taking a sip of wine, listening to them continuing my story as if my presence didn't matter. But I was patient. I don't need to hurry. A few minutes later, when the dinner was nearly over, my mother-in-law stood up and clapped one. "Now, everyone," she said excitedly. "It's time to open the gift." The whole family shouted happily. The gift boxes are passed together. The wrapping paper sounds rang out throughout the table. Radiant faces when opening luxury gifts. Expensive silk scarves, high-end cosmetic sets, branded watches. I silently observed them to enjoy my joy. But then I saw my mother-in-law stopped when I picked up a small black gift box, wrapped in red ribbons. It was the only gift that no one had opened, and it was mine. She frowned, lifted the gift box, flipped over and over as if trying to guess what was inside. "Who is it from?" she asked. Her voice was a bit wary. I put my glass of wine down, tilted my head slightly, smiling. "It's from you, Mom." The whole table was silent for a moment. The gaze involuntarily poured towards me. My mother-in-law raised an eyebrow, seemingly surprised but also full of doubt. "Oh, it's so thoughtful." She slowly removed the ribbon, then opened the gift box. And at that moment her face changed. The smile on her lips was stiff. Eyes that are full of arrogance and contempt now show astonished, even a little panicked. My father-in-law frowned at the gift box, and Ryan, he seemed dumbfounded. Inside the small box was a paper file. Not normal paper, but a copy of the messages. The messages my mother-in-law has sent to Ryan over the past months. Messages filled with instigation, saying that I'm not worthy to him, that I'm never part of this family, that Ryan deserves a better person. I have known about them for a long time. I just waited at the right time to open the truth. My mother-in-law immediately closed the box, but it was too late. Ryan snatched the stack of paper. His eyes glided quickly through each line. I saw his jaw tightened, his hands trembling. "What is this?" Ryan's voice was so cold, dangerously. I am only interested in me. I think dash. Why are you doing that?" Ryan cut across, his voice filled with indignation. "Why do you say these words about your wife and children?" Nobody laughed anymore. There is no more juicy conversation. No more warm atmosphere of Thanksgiving. Only the heavy silence and stunned eyes of the whole family. I sat there, calmly taking a sip of wine, while my mother-in-law was struggling to control the situation. In the end, she knew how to be forgotten in the middle of the party table. The atmosphere in the room seemed to harden. Each of my eyes poured back to my mother-in-law. I still kept the posture. The trembling fingers clenched the edge of the gift box. The face was always full of confidence and arrogance, now gone. Her lips moved but could not say anything. Ryan stood up and clenched the paper in his hand. "Mom said." His voice was low, full of anger. "What are all these messages? Do you think you can't read it?" My mother-in-law blinked, trying to keep calm, but I saw that her hand was trembling. "Ryan, She smiled wryly, trying to use the gentle tone as possible. "I just want the best for me. I am young, there are many options. I am afraid I will regret it later." "Regret?" Ryan smirked coldly and threw the paper on the table. "What do you mean?" "Mom instigated me to divorce my wife and children. I told you that she didn't belong to this family. What is Jane's call?" I saw her fingers clenched together, as if trying to find a reasonable justification. But what else to do? My father-in-law looked at her with unpleasant eyes, while Ryan's brothers and sisters exchanged bewildered eyes. They did not expect this truth to be overturned in the middle of the dinner. I was still silent, let Ryan handle it myself. This is the story between him and my mother, and I want to see who he will choose to be on. "Are you doing it right?" Her voice was cold, but I clearly saw the trembling in every word. "You deliberately present this, right?" I smiled, lifted the glass of wine, turned gently in my hand. "Show out," I repeated, my voice was full of thought. "No, mother. I simply put the reality of the light. I said what I wanted, sending messages that I thought no one would read. It's just that now all know it." A moment of silence. But before she rejected, Ryan said, "Jane did nothing wrong." His voice was definitely, "The wrong person here is mother." His words were like a strong blow. I clearly see the shock in the eyes of my mother-in-law. She could not believe it. Unacceptable. The most loving son she chose to be on my side. Ryan looked straight into her eyes. His voice was colder than ever. "I have always tried to divide us, but I was wrong. I love Jane, and I won't let you or anyone else treat her like that." The room was silent. No one dared to speak up. I put a glass of wine on the table, slowly stood up. Looking directly at my mother-in-law, I said every word clearly. "The dinner is great, Mom. But maybe it's time we have to leave." And at that moment, I saw what I had waited for a long time. Her face was broken. The perfect mask of a gentle mother-in-law, concerned, eventually fell, revealing a person full of cunning and hatred. But now she has no power to me anymore. The room was still in a stifling atmosphere. No one spoke, no one dared to breathe hard. My father-in-law rubbed the temples slightly, shaking his head depressed. Others only look at each other. No one dares to interfere with the confrontation between my mother-in-law and Ryan. I glanced at the surrounding faces. Some people seemed to be surprised. Some showed an awkward appearance. But I don't care. I just wanted to see the reaction of my mother-in-law. She still stood there, her eyes were dark. Her hand tightened the edge of the table to the point of white. Not acceptable, not pleased. But she knew she lost. Ryan walked to me. His hand put light on my back as an underground protection. I felt his warmth, an affirmation that he was on my side. "We are gone." His voice was cold but resolute. "There is no need to stay anymore." My mother-in-law took a deep breath, as if trying to restrain the emotions. But then she smiled faintly, a bitter smile. "Ryan, I was letting my emotions control me," she said, her voice trembled softly. "I just want the best for you. Didn't you see it? Jane, she was not the one for you. She deliberately trapped my mother, causing you to lose face in front of the whole family. Can't you see that?" Ryan looked at her, his eyes were cold. "No, Mum. I only see a woman who deliberately divided the couple, looking for every way to remove Jane from my life. But I forgot one thing, I love her. And I will not leave anyone, including Mom, hurt her. Not because of fear but because of anger." My mother-in-law smirked, turned to me with cold eyes. "Are you satisfied?" She successfully pulled Ryan out of his family. "You're really good." I calmly replied. "No, Mum. It was my mother who pushed Ryan away. If she really loved him, she would not find a way to control his life like that." Perhaps, for the first time in her life, she realized that she had lost her power to her son. Did not say a word, I wore it and walked out with Ryan. When we arrived at the door, my father-in-law's voice rang out. "Ryan!" Ryan stopped, turned his head to look at him. His father-in-law sighed, his eyes were tired. "Live well." There was no blame, no forced. Simply a blessing. Ryan nodded, then held my hand tighter. We stepped out of that house, leaving behind the stereotypes, conspiracies, and injuries that lasted for years. I took a deep breath, feeling the cold air flooding into my chest. For the first time after a long time, I felt relieved. Ryan turned to me, his eyes glowing anxious. "I'm sorry for letting you endure this over the past time." I shook my head, squeezing his hand. "It's okay. Finally, I chose you." I smiled, bent down to kiss my forehead gently. "Always you." And so, we walked away, the family far away but closer than ever. The car rushed away in the cold night. The street lights glided over his face, throwing up the dark patches full of reflection. I looked at him, filled with mixed emotions. Blessed because he finally sided with me, but it was heartbreaking because of what he had just exchanged. I said softly, breaking the prolonged silence. Do you regret it? Ryan frowned, turned to me. What do you regret? Giving up his family. He sighed, his eyes turned to the road ahead. No. If they really love you, they will accept you, instead of trying to deceive me out. He squeezed my hand. I just regret that you don't realize this earlier. A part of me felt relieved, but another part could not prevent the insecurity gnawing on my mind. My mother-in-law is not easy to accept failure. She won't leave it like that. And just like I was afraid, when we had just arrived at the apartment, Ryan's phone shook continuously. He glanced at the screen. His eyebrows were even more frown. Mom called. After a few seconds of hesitation, he sighed and pressed. I could hear my mother-in-law's sharp voice immediately, even though Ryan could not say anything. Ryan, what the hell are you doing? Are you going to be great with the family just for a woman? Ryan took a deep breath, keeping a calm voice. Mom, I said very clearly. If you can't respect Jane, I can't continue to close my eyes. Do you think you can leave this family so easily? Ryan, do you forget who raised me to grow up? Who gave me life like now? Mom, I am grateful to what I did. But that doesn't mean I have to live the way I want. I have my own life. A long silence. I could almost imagine her angry face across the end of the string. But when she raised her voice again, her voice was lower, more dangerous. Okay, Ryan. If I had decided like that. She stopped for a bit, then continued. Her voice was full of calculations. Then don't expect to receive a penny from this family anymore. I signed the decision to cut me from the will. From now on, you are no longer part of this house. I felt my heart tightened. This is her last card. She knew Ryan was accustomed to a prosperous life, knowing that he had worked in the family company for years. If we were financially cut off, our lives would not be easy anymore. I looked at Ryan, worried about his reaction. But contrary to my prediction, he did not show anger or panic. Instead, he laughed, a soft but satirical laugh. Thank you for helping you make the decision easier, he said. His voice was firm. I would rather build my own life rather than living under the control of my mother forever. Then he hung up. No hesitation, not turning back. I looked at him, my heart sobbing. Are you sure? He turned to me, his eyes steadfastly. Of course. I would rather lose everything, as long as you have you. I couldn't help it anymore, rushed to hug him. Perhaps thunderstorms really just started. But as long as he has him, I am ready to face everything. After that call, our apartment sinks into silence. Ryan stood there, his eyes looking at the space, but I knew that he had hundreds of thoughts in his mind. He just gave up everything, the family, finance, stable work, only for me. I put my hand on his back, feeling the stiffness of his muscles under the shirt. Ryan, are you okay? He turned to me. His deep blue eyes shone a tired but full-minded smile. I have never felt free like now. I laughed softly, but the anxiety was still not melted. But still, your job. And our lives. Ryan pulled me into his lap. His arms tightened. Don't worry. I will find a way. I have a degree, experience, and above all I have you. As long as we are together, nothing is impossible. I want to believe in that. But what about the reality? Giving up his family of power means that he will lose all the opportunities for advancement in the industry he has been attached. It will not be easy to start from the beginning, especially when we have nothing in our hands. A few days later, my worries come true. Ryan started applying for a job, but the companies that had previously been polite to refuse. I know my mother-in-law is not easy to give up. I definitely pulled the string to stop every way of his. About that night, Ryan walked into the house, threw a bunch of keys on the table, and sat down on the chair. His face was gloomy. His eyes were a bit tired. Nobody accepts me, I asked gently, even though the answer was foreseen. He smiled faintly. Not only does it not accept, but also not to respond. Some places have previously praised him to behave as if he had never existed. I bit my lip, my heart tightened. So, what should we do now? Ryan leaned his head back, sighed. But then he sat up upright, his eyes shining brightly. We will create opportunities for ourselves. I frowned. What do you mean? He smiled. His eyes glowed with familiar mischief. I thought a lot. Instead of working for someone, why don't we do business? We can start from a small thing, but at least it will be ours. No one can control. I'm stunned by your idea. I have never thought about myself. But looking into Ryan's enthusiastic eyes, I knew he was serious. And if you believe we can do it, then I will believe it. I nodded, clenched his hand. Okay. Let's do it. The following months were challenging time. We worked day and night to plan, find capital sources, research markets. There were times when I was so difficult that I almost wanted to give up. But whenever I saw Ryan, the man exchanged everything to my side, I had more strength. In the end, after many efforts, we also launched our own small company. Not monumental, not lavish, but it is ours. And each day passed, we gradually proved our value without his family. A year later, on the ceremony of Thanksgiving, I stood in the small kitchen of the new apartment, the household that we were bought with our efforts. The smell of grilled turkey spread throughout the space, carrying the warmth of a new start. Ryan walked over, hugging me from behind. His chin leaned on my shoulder. Remember last year? He whispered. I smiled, put my hand on his hand. How can I forget it? At that time, we left the dinner in the contempt of his whole family. Ryan laughed softly. And now we have our own dinner. No one judges, no one tries to control. I turned, looking deep into his eyes. Do you regret it? He shook his head, put a kiss on my forehead. Never. Because in the end, you chose the right person. I smiled, felt my heart warmer than ever. But this time, it no longer carries a cold feeling. That is the peace of a new beginning, a life that we build, no longer being bound by the past. And so, we had a full Thanksgiving ceremony. The first time, but certainly not the last time.